I'm Sudarshan Koirala and welcome back to Data Science Basics. This is the 22nd video in the 30 days of Databricks series, and this video is going to be about Databricks workflows. If you remember previously, we tried to use the Databricks workflows in the community edition, and it says here that we need to upgrade our Databricks subscription. Now, when we upgrade the subscription, we can go through the workflows. So just as a reminder that this does not work in the community version of Databricks. How does this video goes? First, I will briefly describe you what is Databricks workflows, and then I will show you two examples. One, I will show you how the workflow works in Databricks with a simple example. And the next, how you can integrate workflow with your Git, meaning that if you have notebook in your Git repository, how you can create a job from Databricks UI so that we can trigger that file and have the output in your Databricks UI. Let's get started. Okay, let's go to the first part where I will explain you briefly what is Databricks workflows. As the name suggests, workflows meaning that there is some kind of flow. So it is unified orchestration for data analytics and AI on the lakehouse. I will provide the link of this particular page. You can even see on the URL here itself. But let's go through this little bit. Databricks Workflows is a managed orchestration service fully integrated with the Databricks Lakehouse platform. If you scroll little bit down, you can get all the different information. So this figure explains a lot. So here we have the cloud providers and we have the Delta Lake, and there is the Unity catalog. On top of that, there is data streaming, data engineering, data science and machine learning, BI and data warehousing. And on top of that, you can see there is the workflows, and there is some kind of flow being created here, as the name suggests, workflows. So if you scroll a little bit down also, you can read, okay, unified with Databricks Lakehouse platform, as I said you, and there is reliability at scale, so it can scale as needed. You can see that we can have a deep monitoring also here, and there is batch and streaming as well as efficient compute. And maybe you have used Airflow before, and if you have used Airflow before also, there is a good integration with those providers. As you can see here, it is Databricks Workflows provide seamless integration with leading industry partners. And here we have Azure Data Factory, Apache Airflow, Fivetran, DBT Labs, Arquane, and so on. So you are not restricted just to use the Airflow, so you have a good integration into that service. I'm not going to go through this in this video, but you get the idea that when we start using the UI somehow looks like Apache Airflow UI. So yeah, you can go through this particular documentation yourself. But now let's go to the Databricks Workflow tab. This is from the community edition. We cannot use it. We need to go to this particular part. Here we see that there is jobs and there is job runs, meaning that the previous ones. And here we have the Delta Live tables. I'm not going to go through with the Delta Live tables now. But if we go to jobs, here is the create job. If I click this create job, we can create a job here now. So how does it work? As I said you before, first I will show you how you can create a simple job inside Databricks UI using the notebook. So add a name for your job. We can just give it as a test. Okay, we can just give it test. We have a test job. So task name, we can just give it a example test, anything you want. But now I can give anything, but for you, give the name that is descriptive so that you know what is happening behind the scene. And next, there is this type. Here it is notebook. I'm going to use the notebook. But if you click here, you can see that, let me make it a little bit up here. In the notebook, you have notebook, Python script, Python wheel, SQL, DBT, jar, Spark Summit, Delta Live tables, pipeline, etc. As you get the idea, it is updated frequently when you, based on when you watch this video. There might be something else also here, but just to get the idea, we are going to work with the notebook. And it says here source. As I said you before, first I will show you from Databricks and next I will show you from Git. If I go here, it says Git provider and workspace. Let's go with the workspace first. Workspace, and it says the path. So what is the path of the node? I have created 3 notebooks just as a demonstration purpose. If I go inside the users, there is my email address, and there is workflows, and there is 3 notebooks. I have just written sample print statement here, but I will go with the notebook 1 and I will say confirm. So I'm using the notebook 1. If you just want to see what is in that notebook, you can click this. It will open in the new UI. And here I have just written print this is notebook 1. Just a sample example. So now after that, you need to choose a cluster as it is suggested, because cluster is what it runs. But you need to be careful here, because by default it is said here, okay, 274 GB, 36 RAM. If you just use this, then it will cost a lot of money for us. But if you click this drop down icon here, it says here that, okay, add new job cluster, or we can use the existing clusters. I have already run one cluster before, so you can use that cluster, or you can create a new job cluster if you want. But if you are just doing the prototyping or just random testing, it's useful to use the cluster that you create just to reduce the cost. I'm going to use the normal cluster here. And here are different things now. Dependent libraries. If you want to add some libraries, let's say that this task needs some libraries to be installed, you can click this one. And this UI, I think it's now familiar to you, because I have shown you this UI when I created the video about installing packages in Databricks. So you can just go here and install whatever you want. I'm not going to go through this now. But then there is parameters. If you want to add, you can add the parameters. And there is this emails. If I click this email, we can provide email here. We can say here, okay, start, success, failure, or duration warning. What is this? Is, let's say that we trigger this particular job, and when we say start, then we will get an email saying that, okay, this job is started. And when there is success, it notifies us, and so on. You get the idea. There are other things also which says here. You can just go through this. But for this, let's not go through this also. And now there is retries. If, let's say that the job fails, and how many times you want that to retry. So you can go here and choose what you want here, unlimited or 30 something. I'm not going to go through this also, but just for the demonstration purpose. A duration threshold also, you can go here and provide, okay, what is the threshold or timeout you want. Once this is done, it shows here which notebook we are using and which cluster you are using. I can say create here. Let me put this here. So I can say create. So when I click the create, it is going to create something here. And as this is created, it shows here some description. So there is job details. It shows the ID, who is the creator, run as, lineage, Git provider. I'll show you later this one. And you can even schedule the task. So that is the good part of workflows, that you don't need to go here all the time. You can set a time and it will run in that particular schedule. And here is the compute. It is showing here the compute and what is using. And job run settings, it says maximum concurrent runs. Let's go through this, but set this value higher than the default of 1 if you want to be able to perform multiple runs of the same job concurrently. But here we don't want it to run in that fashion. And duration threshold, as I said you before, notifications. So whatever we have set before will be here, because this is just the summary part. And here there is this, okay, task example test. This is just displaying what we selected. What we can do is we can add the task. So this is task 1. And let's go and say add a task, and we can choose different things here. But let me go with the notebook again. As you can see here, when I choose the notebook, there is already a kind of workflow being created here, like the flows is being created. What I can do here is task name. I can say task 2, just to show you. I will take the same notebook, workspace, and the notebook I will choose users Sudarshan workflow notebook 2. Confirm. So what is notebook 2? As I said you before also, this is a sample print statement. This is notebook 2. So this I can close it here. I will use the same cluster that is being used, and other things I will not touch or anything. But here is the thing called depends on. Let me again bring this here. This idiot. So depends on, meaning that the task 2 is going to be dependent on task 1, because in your normal working environment, it might be that you want to do some ETL steps, and in the ETL steps also you might be bringing different tables from different sources. So you want the task which is following the previous one to start once the previous one completes. This is what it says, that okay, task 2 does not start if task 1 fails. I will show you later how it looks like, but this is what it says depends on. And I can say run if all succeeded. This is what we can choose here. All succeeded, at least one succeeded, none failed, all done, at least one failed, all failed. This is how what you can choose. And you can say create the task. When I click this, now if I just make this bigger, we don't need to go through these details now. So as you can see here, let me make this smaller from here. So you will see that okay, there is example test. I can maybe just give this name test 1 so it's easier. So there is test 1 and test 2. So test 2 is followed by test 1. Let me again give one example also. Let's create a new task, notebook. Okay, on save changes, cancel. What is the on save changes? Okay, we need to save the task. I don't know why that is shown here, but okay, discard changes. Okay, because it didn't give the name. I think I need to give this test 1 and then I need to save that particular task because it was not updated. Now I will create a new task, notebook, and as you can see here, there is already a flow being created. I will give this test 3, the same things, workspace, notebook. I will go here and choose the third one, confirm. I will use the same cluster and I will say create task. So there is 3 tasks. Let me make this little bit smaller, or this drag here. So we have task 1 and task 2 and task 3. But if you see here, it says a task 1, task 2, task 3. But task 2 depends on task 1. But in task 3, I didn't specify the dependence. It's only test 1. But what I can do, if I go to test 3, and down here when it says depends on, it says test 1 only. But I can do here test 2 also. Task 2 also. Task 1 and task 2. So as you can see here, when I did this, let me make this bigger so that you will see what I am showing here. Still bigger. First, there will be the test 1 and test 2 is dependent on test 1 and test 3 is dependent on test 1 as well as, okay, it should be task. The naming seems a little bit confused here and there, but let me make task 3 and I will save this one. Let me go to this one. I will make it task 1 because it is confusing when I speak. Okay, now it's clearer. Task 2 is dependent on task 1 and task 3 is dependent on both task 1 and task 2. If you go to this side panel, as I said you before, you can even schedule here. If you click this schedule, it shows here, okay, trigger type, you can say scheduled. So you can schedule when you want to do it. Let's say you want to do every day at certain time, or you just want to say every minute, whatever you want to do. But I'm not going to go through this now, but you can even show cron syntax if you are used to with cron things. I will just cancel this. I will go again here. I will run this now. It says triggered run 5166. Once the task 1 completes, task 2 will be running. And once the task 2 is completed, and task 1 and task 2, then task 3 will be running here. But now if I go to the runs, what happens? If I go here, as you can see here, it is saying task 1, task 2, task 3. And what is this? This is just saying, okay, test manually triggered and this is running. So it will take some time. It's already 49 seconds. When all of this task is done, this will be turned to dark green. And if it fails, it will turn red. So let's wait how it will turn here. It is taking some time to run. I will get back to you when this completes. Okay, so now the task 1 is running. As you can see here, I was surprised why it took so long time. But what happens is I created a cluster before and I said the 10 minutes inactivity, the cluster shuts down, meaning that the cluster shuts down and it took some time to start again. That's the reason. So as you can see here, the task 1 is completed and task 2 is running now, and that is succeeded, and now task 3 is running. It is dependent on task 1 and 2. So now this is succeeded and it says succeeded. I can go to this job ID. If I go here, as you can see here, it turns green. This is how we see that, okay, all the tasks are succeeded. And if you go to this task 1, you can see from here, okay, this is notebook 1, it is printed here. That's how you can view. And if I go again back to the test, if I go to this one, I can see that, okay, this is notebook 2. But what we can do now is, let's say we want to fail one of the tasks and see what happens. For that, what we can do is, let me go to the workflow. Let me open in the new tab. And from workflows, I will go to notebook 2. I want to fail something here. So let me just write here something here like this. And then I will run this. Okay, it is running here. I don't need to go through this. Okay, it shows some error here. Now let us go to the task here and run again. If I click this run now, okay, there is a new task being run now. As you can see here, task 1 is running and there should be the task failing there. But let's see. Task, I can see, okay, there is some failed task. There is task 1 succeeded successfully and task 2 is failing here. If I go to this failed one from here, I can go here. Okay, it fails here. Task 1 succeeded, task 2 failed. If I click here, then you can see, okay, this is the syntax error and this is the same result what we get also. What we can do is go here. The good part of Databricks workflow is that you can just repair the task without running. I will just explain you why this is important. Let's say that you have a task that is running for 1 hour as an example, and all the tasks until 59 minutes were okay and the last task was failing, meaning that the run was failing. But it doesn't make sense to run all the tasks again. But what if we just want to run that particular task? So the task 2 is failing because we have made the mistake in notebook 2. What I can do here, I can go to this particular notebook. Okay, I will just close this. I can go here and fix this. So now that is fixed. If I run this, it is running in the notebook too. So what I can do now here and go here and say repair the run. If I click this repair run, it says here, okay, repair job run, the following tasks will be rerun. And you can see there is no task 1 here. I can just say, okay, repair run. And if you notice here, it says pending 4 seconds. And now task 2 will be running. As you can see here, it's running now. Once this is completed, then task 3 will be running here. Now it is going to task 3. You will see some arrow as you can see here. Now we have task 1, task 2 and task 3 running. Okay, it's succeeded. Let's go to the job run. Okay, here all of these are successful. As you can see here also, it says that is successful. That is how you can run, and this is really useful that you can already view from the UI also that, okay, what is the task running and what is the task that we are running also from this particular task tab, and you can go here and see all the details. The video is going to be a little bit longer, but now I will quickly show you one example how you can run the code that is in your GitHub. But for that, what you need to do, let me go to the workflow. What you need to do is make sure that there is a Git integration. For that, please refer to my previous video where I have explained you how you can configure Git in your Databricks UI. I will go here and create a new job. I will say here Git run, just a sample example. I can also give here Git workflow, just a sample thing here. And here in I will use the notebook also because I have a notebook. If I go to these 30 days of Databricks and in the basic data transformation, if you have watched my previous video, you will know that. And there is the data transformation.py file. And this is a notebook because I have this Databricks notebook source. And just to know that this is a notebook, you can watch my previous video again where I have shown how you can run the code written in VS Code in Databricks. I have explained you how to change the Python code into the notebook. I'm going to run this particular notebook, which is in GitHub in my Databricks UI as a job. So what I can do here, workspace, I can go to Git provider, make sure again that your Git integration is already done. So here you can click this edit it says here Git repository URL. So you need to go to this part. Let me go to 30 days of Databricks. I will go here and then just copy this as HTTPS. I will go back. I will just go here and then paste this. So it automatically knows that it is a GitHub, and the main branch, I will go with the main branch. You can even run with the other branch also. Do I have other branch? I don't have other branch. I will go with the main branch, and it says here, okay, main branch. I can say confirm Git provider main. What is the path? You can say path to notebook. For a local notebook, the full path. For a Git repository, the path relative to the repository root. So you need to be careful when providing the path. So I will go here and provide the path. So what is the path? If I go to the 17 here, and this is the node, I will just copy this. But you need to be careful here is that you cannot provide .py when you run that, because this is the Python file, but we want to run that as a notebook. So what I can do, go here, I can go here and just do Control V, and I can remove that extension. As it is says here, notebooks imported from a repository should omit the file extension. By the way, it already provided us the instruction, okay, you need to omit extension. I can go here and just remove this part. That's done. It says git run, and I need to choose the cluster. I will choose the one that is running already. So So other things, I don't need to provide anything here because we just want to run one. I can say here create. So this job is being created, and now I want to run this. So what I can do is go here. Let me close this and run this now. So it says triggered this. I can view the run. So as you can see here, it says no results available yet because it is pending. And if I go here, it's running now. As you can see, this is the notebook that is in our GitHub, and now it is running here. Now it shows the result of the first cell, and it is running other cells also. Now this is how you can see that it is already connected to the Git and running the notebook that is in GitHub already in the Databricks UI. So I can go to workflows. Here we have this UI, it is running. This is the thing that we want to go and see the notebook. You can see, okay, these are all the different things that we ran in that particular book. So yeah, that is how you can run. And if you go back, you can see that, okay, it is running here. Once that is completed, it will turn green. And you know that, okay, it is running. If not, then it will throw some error rate that we saw before. And you know that, okay, there is something wrong. One good part of Databricks workflow is also that when the job is completed, you can see that there is this Spark UI logs and metrics being provided. If you want to see the Spark UI, you can go and see the Spark UI here. It shows you all the information that you want here, what it does each and every step. And if you want to also go and see what is the logs being provided, because this is really important if there is something that you want to look what is happening behind the scene when the task is running, you can go to standard out, standard error, log4j if you want to see something here. And one good part apart from these two is the metrics. If you go to the metrics part, it is really good that you have this metric so that you know what is happening. The server load distributions, this is what the CPU utilization legends looks like. If you go down here, as you can see, this is how it is working here. Uses, and this is showing different things here. And down here, what is the memory utilization at that particular time. And if you scroll down, memory swap utilization and free file system space and many things if you scroll down here. So maybe not for all of you it is important, but it is the hardware. But you can go here and see the Spark, and it will be providing us the information. Okay, there is GPU also if you are using the GPU. So this is how it works, and it helps you to debug something if there was some error when we run that particular job. Okay, that's all for this video. It went quite long, but now I hope you know on a high level how the workflow works in Databricks UI. There are many things you can do with this one, but just getting the basic information might be also useful in some cases. Okay, that's all for this video. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.